Okay, good morning, everybody, and welcome to this Build It with Infowise Ultimate Form session. Um, Today, the theme for the session is going to be improving follow-up and completion rates using dashboard indicators and alerts. Now, well, first, let me introduce myself. My name is Phil Gold, and I am a long-term communications and training professional. Most recently, I spent 15 years at Nike as the global training manager for Nike technology, and that enabled me to have quite a bit of exposure to people all around the world. And one of the things that I spent a lot of time training was using SharePoint. I was a SharePoint user, I was a SharePoint trainer, and a SharePoint site manager. And in that role, I started using Infowise Ultimate Forms a few years ago, and really liked the tool. Always found it to be very, very helpful, very, very useful. Um, After I left Nike, I started working with LinkedIn Learning as a course author. And one of the courses that I published was using Infowise with SharePoint. Well, the Infowise guys saw that course and they got really excited and they gave me a call and said, "Hey, would you be interested in working with us to help share this information with other people?" I said, "Absolutely, I'll be more than happy to do that." And so here I am today talking to you all. Um, what we're going to be doing, the purpose of ground rules first. Um, During the session, I've got one other person from Infowise on the line, and I'm not sure if they're going to be here the whole time or not. So I'm actually going to ask you to hold off on asking questions. Um, Use chat to ask questions, and hopefully the other Infowise guys will catch that and answer it to you. But I will be stopping periodically to catch up. I have a hard time reading chat questions while I'm talking. So we'll pause periodically, and I'll go through your questions and see if I can answer them. And then if there's time, we'll do a Q&A at the end of the presentation. I am recording this session, and the recording will be posted to YouTube sometime later today. Also, we're going to be having a free giveaway at the end of the session. We've got some Infowise polo shirts, and we'll have a little contest. I'm very sorry, but this will be restricted to people in the United States only because we can only ship internally. But if you're in the U.S., you can participate in the contest. So stay tuned for that. Now, what we're going to be doing today, I've got a hypothetical problem with a hypothetical group. This is an editorial group. They have to publish articles for a website on a fairly regular cadence, and they're not processing the articles. They're not getting the work done as quickly as they ought to. So we want to put together a system that's going to help their workflow. We're going to use the item creation date and standard SLAs to determine what the timeline is. We're going to add indicators onto SharePoint so that they have a very easy to understand view of what's going on and when it's happening. We're going to improve item entry by changing the form around a bit. We're going to go out of order and create custom personalized dashboards. And we're going to use alerts to automate notifications of assignment, approaching deadlines, and past due items. What else are we going to do? If we have time, we're going to explore action groups, which is a new thing for Infowise and pretty exciting, and will also fit within this time, this workflow process. Now, the philosophy behind these Build It sessions is that we're going to take the time, starting basically from scratch. I'm going to see how much of this I can build out in the next couple hours. And the benefit of this is twofold. First of all, you'll get to see how I'm doing these things. But second of all, you're going to see just how easy it is to use Infowise Ultimate Forms. This is you will hear this stressed time and time and time again. This tool is so easy to use. It takes a lot of the mental anguish out of fixing SharePoint and making SharePoint work better. So you will see that as we go along. Okay, I think we can get out of here and let's go into SharePoint here. Now, this is a website that I've built, and I've built a couple of lists out already so that we have something to work with. This is our article assignment and completion list. And this is a fairly straightforward list. We have an item. The item was created on such and such date. Here's the description of it. Assigned, yes or no. Who was it assigned to? What's the status? What's the due date? Actually, we need to go in here and change some of these. This should be yes. 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 Huh, funny. That's a little odd. Okay, I'm not going to worry about that right now. We'll fix that later. Okay, so we've got what's the status, what was the due date. You know, as I say, this is all fairly straightforward. The first thing that I want to do here, now, I have used the date created to give me my due date. The due date is the created date plus, I think, 30 days is how I set this up. So people have 30 days to process their work. And that's just a calculated field straight out of SharePoint. So we haven't done anything fancy there. Now I wanna start making this stand out a little bit more so people have a better idea of what's happening and what's not happening. So I think the first thing that I want to do is if something hasn't been assigned yet, I mean, it can't get completed until it's assigned. So it's really sort of important that it get assigned. So I want to put an indicator on any lines where the task has not yet been assigned. That'll be my first step. So I'm going to go into the List tab here and over to the Infowise Design tab. And in Infowise, I'm just going to go down to Color Choice. And I am going to update the Assigned column. And I am going to require that this contains information. Yes. And we will say that if it's yes, we can leave it as white. But if it's no, we're going to make it yellow. And we will apply that to the background. And we will show the label. Let's go ahead and say, oh, you know, I made a mistake there. One of the things you have to remember to do, and, you know, we all kind of forget this sometimes, whenever you make a change here, you always have to click this Add button to make sure that the condition has been put in there. Now we'll go ahead and update that. And now when we go back and check, you can see both of those conditions are in there. Let's go back to the site. And this is my list right here. Okay, there. You see, these items that have not yet been assigned, we've got a highlight there, and that kind of draws your attention to the fact that this has not yet been assigned. Now, I could have applied this to the whole row, but I didn't want to do that. I thought that would be a little bit over the top. So, but that's, that's a personal choice. Um, so now the next thing I want to do is I'd like to have an indicator of how much time is left for the job to process. So I'm going to go back in to the design area, and I'm going to go down to indicators, add progress bars, KPIs, and countdowns. What I'm going to do first for the, I'm going to create a new column, and I'm going to call it deadline. And this will be a countdown, and our goal value will be the created date. I'm going into the picker here, and I'm picking the field right from there. So created plus 30, because that's our SLA. We'll display that always, and we'll do it by day. And then count down, we'll leave that as blue, but count up when it's past due. I'm actually going to change that to orange. Let's save that. Okay, now let's go back to the site and see what that did for us. Okay, now you can see I've got another column which has been added here. Infowise added in this column for us, and you can see these here are not late, and 27 days, 27 days. These here are late, and you can tell by how much they are late. So we're really starting to boost this up in terms of usefulness and in terms of information that we are showing to people about what's going on with these articles. Now I want to add one more indicator here. So I'm going to go back into design one more time, and going to go back to indicators. And this time I am going to add a progress bar. That's okay. Yeah, we'll make a new one. We'll call it task days. Oops. Sorry. Task days. And we'll make this one a progress bar. And the column it's going to look at is the today. Well, we're going to look at today's date. The start value will be created again. And then the goal value will be the due date, because we have a due date in our column, in our list. And let's say I've got my little cheat sheet here, but unfortunately I can't read it without my glasses on. Green will be 0, and we'll add that, and then we'll add, how about red for 100%. Add that, and we'll save all this. And now we'll go back to the site one more time. And let's go back and take a look at the list. And what do we got? All right, there we go. See, these are all filled. These task days are done. And these have barely started. So we've got an indicator of how many days worth of work and how much time is left. So we've got 3 different indicators here. We've got the highlight for the no assign. We've got deadline dates. We've got task days. And how long did that take? That took about 15 minutes to build out those 3 indicators. So I think that's a pretty good example of just how simple that can be. And you can take this, you can expand this out as much as you want. You could add in KPIs. You could create some other fields to give you more information. But, once again, just working with some basic information in a list, we can show very, very quickly, some really good, useful information, some visual information that will make this much easier for your users to understand and work with the information. And for me, if any of you have ever heard me talk before, you know that with me, it's all about how useful is this for the users. That's really the most important part. Do we have any questions so far? Yes, I see there's some questions here. Are you going to set the condition if the status is not... I'm sorry, I can't see this really well. To only count down if the status is not incomplete. Yeah, I could do that. That actually would have been a very good idea. Let me go and do that right now. That actually would make this information a lot more valid. Thanks for pointing that out. What we're going to do, we're going to go back into the indicators, and we'll go to that deadline one. Display. Actually, no, I'm sorry. We can't set a condition on this one here. Okay. Now, I apologize, but I thought we could do that, and we can't on that one. So the answer is D. Yeah, that's a good idea. Unfortunately, I can't do it. Sorry. Was there another question? When the due date has passed and the thing is greater, it needs to be read. Yes, you're right. It does. What did I do wrong? Task days. Well, green 0, red. That should have been okay. Let's do it this way. We'll start with green as the minimum. Well, can't do that. I guess we have to do green as 0 and red as the max. Let's try that. Nope. That's what we had before. Yes, the taskbar was supposed to be red. Over 100 is red. You're all right. But that is not showing properly. You know what? I'm gonna try this one more time. But if this doesn't work, I'm gonna skip ahead, and then I'll figure out what I did wrong later. Optional green. Let's see if we do 101%. Set the value to be 200%. Somebody's got a clever idea there. Okay, I'm going to try that, D. But this is the last time I'm going to do it, because if this doesn't work, I'm going to move on. Okay. You know, guys, I apologize. I'm doing something wrong, and I'm kind of blanking on what it is here. So I'm going to have to owe you an answer on this one. Yes, you're absolutely right. This should be showing as red if we're at 100% or over, but for some reason, I'm not able to convince it to do that today. So I don't want to get too bogged down on this. And so I'm gonna skip. But if I've got, I do have someone else on the line from Infowise. If you can look into that for me and maybe post an answer, I would greatly appreciate it. And in the meantime, I'm going to keep moving ahead. Now, the next thing that I wanted to build out in this system here was some alerts. I want people to know when they have been assigned a new task, and I want them to know when that task is getting close to being done, and I want them to know when that task is late. So I'm going to be using the Infowise alerts to build this out. Now, if you've used the stock alerts in SharePoint before, you know that they're pretty limited. You don't have a whole lot of options with alerts. You can basically set an alert up if something has been changed or added or deleted, but you don't get much flexibility with how you set them up. Infowise alerts were one of the very first things that I started using, and quite frankly, one of the things that really sold me on Infowise in general. So what we're going to do for this list, we're going to go back into Infowise Design, and we're going to set some alerts up. Now, alerts are in the business logic area. We'll go into here. I'd actually built all this stuff out previously. I just want to make sure that, yeah, okay, I've deleted it so that I can rebuild it. So we're going to create a new alert, and this one will be for article assignment. That will be the title of this one. It'll be on the current site and the current list. Now, who are going to be the recipients for this? This is the first place where you will see a major difference between SharePoint and Infowise. Infowise gives you a lot of different options for who receives these emails. Now, my name is in here because I created this list. I don't actually want this to go to me, though. Who I want this to go to, I want this to go to the users in the column assigned to. This will actually add in the assigned name. Whoever this case is assigned to, they're going to get an email saying it's assigned to you. I could put in SharePoint user groups. I can put in individual emails. I can put in Exchange security groups if you're connected to Exchange. But I think the fact that you can dynamically pull the information from the list and use that to direct your email is absolutely fantastic. I have the ability to copy. I have the ability to blind copy people. I also have the ability to change who this is coming from. Now, it's coming from me because I'm creating this. But if you wanted to use a shared mailbox or something like that for these messages, that can be put in here. It does have to be done by a site collection admin. Not just anybody can change the from information, but it's absolutely possible to do it. You can also put in reply to information. Once again, it could be a shared mailbox, a person, a whatever. And if you're using security groups or SharePoint groups, you also have the ability to exclude certain people from that. Like, I want to send it to everybody on the team, but I don't want the manager to see it, because managers get way too much questions and information anyways. We don't really want to have them pestered by all this stuff. So we're gonna go ahead and just let that one go. As you can see, we got some good stuff going on in here. That's pretty good. Now, what to send is really kind of under what condition do we want to send. Now, this particular alert is for people being assigned. So it might be when item is added. It might be when item is modified. I don't think we have to worry about deleted here. And here we can create some conditions. So we're going to say assigned equals yes. Oops. Although we'll turn off the cap lock. Although we'll learn how to type. Assigned equals yes, and we'll add that condition in here. Do I need to add any other conditions? No, because it's going to the assigned person. Now, I think that'll be enough for right now. Do all items according to conditions. When to send? How often do we want this going out? I would actually say that this probably should go out right away. But this is grayed out. There's been a change to the interface here, and I don't know why that has been grayed out. But so what we'll do instead, we'll send this out daily at 8 a.m. But let's see if I change this. Here we go. I changed this according to conditions, and we got immediately back up. And this is really what I want here. I want this one going out immediately. As soon as it's assigned, I want that email going out to people. Now, this has all been pretty straightforward, but this last tab here, this mail templates, this is where the power of Infowise is just so readily apparent. You have the option of sending out personalized email templates or personalized emails on these alerts with very, very specific and targeted information for your users. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to add an email template, and I'm going to call this new item assigned. And in the subject, I am going to put a new article has been assigned to, and I'm going to put the person's name in. we'll add that to the subject. So once again, this will pull dynamically and enter this information into the subject line of the email. And you have been assigned an article on created. We'll put created date in there. The description is, and we'll put in the article description. Where'd that go? Request description. The article is due on, and we'll put the due date in there. You can see we can make this really information rich. You can't do this in SharePoint, so being able to send out really specific information makes this so much more helpful. And here we go. For more information, see the item at, and we'll put in the URL path. How's that? Okay, so that's pretty slick, you gotta admit. And of course, if you want to do a little bit of formatting to this, we can make this a little bit bigger. We can change the font. We can put in colors. You could put in a picture if you wanted. So there's a lot of little stuff that you can do there. We're going to say OK. OK. And now, for item is added, put in new item assigned. It actually is not a bad idea to put in the template you've created, even for the things that aren't specifically related to this instance. I've had some inconsistent results if you don't add the template to all of those. So we'll go ahead and say add. And here's our new template, article assignment. I want to do the same thing for let's say we're getting late. 5 days remaining. And recipients will once again be the assigned to. I'll take my name out. What to send. According to date in column is what we'll make this one. And we'll do due date, and we'll say 5 days before the date. And I'm not going to repeat it. I'm just going to go ahead and do that. Now, I will add a condition in here. If it's completed, we won't bother to send this out. If the status is completed, was it completed or complete? I think it's complete. Might have to go in and change that later. Or the status is escalated. Okay, those are good. When to send, we'll send it daily. That's good. They can get it in the morning. And the email template, we'll add another template. And we'll say article is almost due. We'll spell almost properly. The article is due and we'll just say for further information, check the article at Okay, that should be good enough. Oh, we need a name for this. 5-day warning. And then we'll change this to 5-day warning. 5-day warning. And click add to add that in. Okay, so that's how simple that is. Let me stop and look and see if there's any questions here. D, thank you very much. You are right. It is not equal. I'm glad that you guys are watching this today because oops. Okay. Actually, the funny thing is I'm starting to get emails from these alerts because my name is in them. So they are working. Okay, update. All right, there we go. I don't know if you can hear clinks in the background, but yeah, I've got things that are happening. Let me see if I can open this up a little bit. I can't. I'm looking at your questions here. Give me just a second. Is it the condition? The condition is not equal to complete, yeah, with the condition you stated, and I don't think that's going to work. Okay, well, it is working now because luckily somebody did remind me that I needed to make that not equal to instead of equal to. So we are in fact processing these things. The last one that I wanted to add was a "you are late," but basically that's just the same. So for the moment, I'm going to skip that one, and we'll just move ahead. Let's take a look at entry forms, because that, are you going to set the condition to only count down if the status is not complete? I think I already saw that question. Okay. Back to the site. Now, one of the things that a lot of people don't like about SharePoint, straight out of the box SharePoint entry forms. Oh, dang it. I'm sorry, I already got a form. I got to kill this so that I can show you the right way. I have to take this out so I can put it back in. I blew the surprise. I don't want to blow the surprise. All right. Let's make sure it's gone. Okay, so SharePoint out of the box entry forms are kind of boring, and if you've got a list that contains a lot of information, they can stretch pretty far down a page. I mean, I've seen some that just scroll on and on and on. And likewise, there's a bunch of information in here that really isn't necessary. Um, you know, the request received, well, that's today's date. We don't necessarily need to enter that every time, do we? I mean, we can slim down some of the entry for people by controlling the way that the form is laid out. So how do we do that? Well, we use another one of Infowise. Infowise Ultimate Forms. Why do you think it's called Ultimate Forms? It's because forms were one of the first things that they solved. So let's go in and take a look at tab and tab permissions. What this does, this allows us to separate the list entry form into tabbed areas and put the fields that we want on the various tabs. So we will start with the description tab. We will start with the description tab. And we'll add that one. And then we'll add the assignment tab. And then we'll add the status tab. Now, once we have the tabs, we can start associating the fields in the list directly to the tabs. So the description, we can do request description. And we don't have to put in the date that it was received because that's going to populate automatically when people put it in. So the only thing that we really need here is the request description. There might be some attachments. No, I'll leave that on the last one. I don't think there's anything else that we need to put there. That'll be just that first one. Now, assignment, assigned, yes or no, assigned to. That sounds good. Due date, they'll probably want to know that. That'll do for the moment. And then status, we'll say status. And if there's any comments, we'll add the comments in there. Okay. All right, I think that's all pretty good. We'll roll with that. Now, on these tabs, you can also add blank lines, blank rows. You can add fragments, which would be just text. You can write in instructions for how people are supposed to fill out fields. So there's a lot of additional stuff that you can do on these. Let's just take a quick look at this so far. Request received. Yep, okay. I don't need to have it because it'll fill in automatically. Let's go back to the site. And once again, we will take a quick look at this. Oops. So here's our list, new item. And here we are. Here's our tabbed out form here. Request description, assignment, status. So let's make a new one. Oh, grant announcement. That sounds good. Assigned. Yeah, I'll assign it to myself. Status, so far not started. Go ahead and save that. Now I'm going to get an email, bing, telling me that this has been assigned to me. And there we go. You see, a few seconds ago, those dates fill in automatically. Yep, there's, here, let me show you. An alert has been assigned for you. You will receive, oh, that's not the one I wanted. There we are. New article has been assigned. Okay. Description is grant announcement. So you see, I'm already getting those messages. That comes through like right away. Now, also on the tabbed forms, it doesn't really apply in this particular instance, but we have some other possibilities here. On the tab permissions, if you don't want some people to be able to access the information on certain tabs, you can lock down permissions for those tabs to read only or not even visible. I have seen this used like with a department that was using lists in SharePoint to track service requests. The users would be able to enter their requests on the first tab, maybe put a little information on the second tab. The third tab was reserved for the people in the department, and that's where they put in their notes about who it was assigned to, what the status was, what the resolution was, and this information was invisible to all of the users. They didn't feel that that needed to be shared. So it's a very neat functionality, and once again, something that you don't really have the ability to do with SharePoint out of the box. With Infowise, both using tab permissions, and there is a separate column permission functionality, advanced column permissions right here. So even if you're not using a tabbed form, you can hide list columns from people that you don't want them to see. You can make them editable only by certain people or certain groups. So some incredible functionality there that it would have been really nice if SharePoint had that out of the box. But hey, what can I say? Let me see if I've got any new questions here. I have to tell you, this is a little bit difficult to read. It looks like, okay, I've got everything up to date so far. Is there anything in chat that I need to know about? Nothing in chat. Okay. So let me just keep going. And what I'm going to do now, I actually, this is not really an Infowise thing. This is kind of a SharePoint thing, but it's something that I think is really important. When you're talking about making stuff look nice for your users, I believe that it is important to set things up for them a little bit. So I have in my list, my original list, I've got a few different views that I've added. I've added a late articles view, a late assignment view. I've added a my items. I've added a quick edit view, and I want to set some things up for people so that they'll be able to get information a little quicker. And I've got some pages that I've already created. Let's see what I erased and what I didn't erase. Move that out of the way. Let's go into site contents. Oh, I had site contents right here. Pages. Okay, now the first thing that I did, and I actually need to go back and make sure that I have that I've left this where it was supposed to be. My items. Okay, so one of the views that I created for this list is a my item view. So this is only my stuff, only the things that have been assigned to me. Because the assigned to column, interesting, because the assigned to column is a person or group field in SharePoint, I was able to create a filter for this, which I will show you. My items, modify this view. See, I've created a filter in the view where assigned to is equal to bracket me bracket, which is a SharePoint code that will cause the list to show only the information for the person who is currently logged into the site. Now, I think that this is a really handy thing to do and a real handy thing to have. And what you can do with this is you can take this and open up a web part page, insert your list onto the page, and set the view for this page so that it will always be the me page. Now, the cool thing is that anybody on the team who comes to this page in the site, anybody who signs on, is going to see their stuff. So you've created a custom view for everybody on the team only by making one quick edit to a view and making one page where everyone can go to see their stuff. Now, this graph here, I'm going to take this graph out because I'm going to put the graph back in. That is an Infowise thing, and I don't want it there just yet. So I'm going to edit this page. Where'd that sucker go? There it is. And I'm going to take this out. There we are. I didn't want to show that off just yet, so I'll take it out and now I'll put it back in. What that is, Infowise does have a graphing and charting functionality, which is nice. There's no real built-in charting in SharePoint. So having the ability to give a visual representation of stuff is pretty handy. Let's go in and take a look at that. I want to go back to the list itself. And move that out of the way. Go back into design. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I almost did this wrong. Okay, we need to be on the, this is the my page, right. Now what we want to do, we want to edit this page. And we want to put in a web part. Insert web part. And what we're looking for is this Infowise Smart Chart Pro. This one works a little bit differently from the others, so we got to put it in this way. And then we need to use the app to configure the chart. Then we'll specify the chart title. So we now need to go back to Site Contents. And we need to go to Infowise Ultimate Forms. And we want a chart. Okay, well, here's the chart that we put in. Show you what I did. So I have chart number 1. My items is the view that I'm working off of. And then the category is status. And I just broke them down by the different statuses: not started, in progress, escalated, and complete. And then assigned, I want the count. And what did we call that? We just called it chart 1. So we can now go back to the page, the My page. My assignments. Go back in and edit the page. Where's that chart? Okay, it's not there. So we'll add it here. Smart Chart Pro. And now we can edit this web part. And the most important thing here is we got to get exactly the, Infowise. We have to get the chart title exactly right, which was chart 1. I think we can leave everything else okay for right now. And there it is, right there. Not completed, not started, completed, and in progress. So that's how easy it is to add that in. And having it on the My Assignment page, as I said before, since everybody who comes to this page sees only their stuff, this chart will update dynamically so that everyone who comes is just seeing a chart of their stuff. They're just seeing a list of their stuff, which I think is, a very, very useful, helpful thing for people to see. That one was pretty straightforward. Any questions about that? I'm looking for questions. I'm not seeing any. Okay, let me keep going. Now, the other thing that I was doing with this site, and once again, this is not necessarily an Infowise thing as much as it is a SharePoint thing. I had set up, so you all know about these promoted links, right? These are great. When you float over, you get a little bit of a description. When you click on it, it goes directly to it. Microsoft puts this promoted links, get started with your site, on all of the classic team sites. I think it's a beautiful app. I think the order in which they tell you to set up your site is really goofy. So I pretty much always take that out. But I do think that it's such a good thing that I have built another one, which I am going to put into this page. So we'll go ahead and edit this. This is kind of in my way here. Thank you. Let's get this out of here for good. Delete that. Yep, I want to permanently delete it. Thank you very much. And now we can put something else in instead. Take a web part. And oh, no, it's an app part. I'm sorry. No, it's a web part. Apps. Promoted links. That's what I'm looking for. I had created a new one. I forgot what I called it. So I had just built this up. Here's how you start a new one. Here's how you see my page. Here's a quick edit site. And here's a list that'll show you all the late ones. Let's go ahead and publish this. Now, in terms of usability, if a customer or a user comes to the site, they want to create a new record, there it is right there. That link will take you directly to the form. Want to go back to the home? Click there. You want to edit an existing record? Use a quick edit. I've set up this view so that it's in the spreadsheet view, so you can go in and edit really fast. Back to the home. You want to just see your stuff? Here's the mine page. If you wanted to just see things that are late, well, here's just late right here. There's the late items. I think the other thing that I would probably do is on the home page, maybe put a list of just the items that are currently under work. That would probably be good information to put on the home. Maybe maybe a chart of the total assigned versus completed. Something that would give a nice dashboard effect, general information for the users. And then if they needed more specific information, they could get into that from the links. I'd also change this navigation a little bit. Let me go in here. Site settings. I've actually monkeyed with the navigation a bit for purposes of this demonstration. So I'm going to do structural navigation. I think that's the only thing I need to change. And yes, there we go. We get that nice Oslo-style navigation across the top. Excuse me, took a drink. So, I think this is starting to look pretty nice. I think it's starting to provide some pretty good functionality for people. If we wanted to see the whole list again, we can go to the late item. I need to put in a link for the whole list. Right now I could click this. Okay, that'll get us to the entire list again. Yeah, definitely need to add a link for the whole list. So that's most of what I wanted to show you guys today. And once again, the purpose in a lot of this is, to make this a little bit more useful, a little easier for the users who have to use it, to make it pop a little bit more visually, to facilitate the ease of entering orders, maintaining orders, to provide notifications for people so that they know that things are assigned to them or coming due or past due. Now, the other thing that I wanted to show you is we've got a new functionality. I don't know if any of you have had a chance to see it yet, but there is a new action type which is action groups. And action groups allow you to bundle actions together so that you can run them manually or on a timer. And it gives you all the functionality of actions, but being able to put them together in a lump. So in this particular thing, I'm going to say if something goes past due, it needs to get escalated. So I'm going to set up a couple of different actions and then tie them together with an action group to kind of demonstrate this. So I'll start by going in and I'm going to create a new action. And what we're going to do is we are going to change some contents in a column. Update list item. That's what we're going to do. We are going to change status to escalated for late items. It really is a good idea to make this information relatively clear. It'll make your life simpler later on. And we don't run it on new events, but I think we can run it every time it's edited, and we can run it timer-based as well. Let's repeat it daily at 12 a.m. Okay. Because what we're going to be doing is we're going to be looking to see if something is something, and then we're going to be changing something. And I want it to happen on a daily basis or when people go in and edit. So advanced settings. Now, when unchecked, it executes only once per item. I only want this to go out once per item. If something gets escalated, I don't think we need to bombard people all the time. If it happens once, it happens. I don't want this one to happen manually, though. So I think this is probably good. I'm not going to worry about a failure message right now. And here is my action settings. Here's where we're assigning things. So I want to change the status to escalated. Come on. There. Okay. I clicked too many times. And ID equals ID, which is more or less everything. So that's good. Now, what are my conditions? My conditions are if status is not complete, and due date is greater than today. No, due date is less than today. Make sure I get that logic in there right. Somebody going to correct me there? I spelled complete in French. Hey, you're lucky I didn't spell it in Portuguese. Okay, so those are the conditions that I want. And I'll go ahead and click Add. Good. That's action number 1. Now, action number 2, I want a different action. I want an email action on this one. We're going to send an email and notify of escalation. And we'll run that edit and timer based. And we'll do it daily. Okay. Advanced settings. Only want this doing once. Action settings. Okay. We want this going to the assigned to. And CC, I want this going to some managers. So I'm going to say the translation managers group. All right. Subject. Article is past due. And we'll say oops, stop. Assigned to don't do that. And the due date was and for more details, please check looks like I put that in there twice. Okay, that looks good. Now, you might be wondering, why am I using an email to send a notification instead of an alert? And the answer is the only reason I'm doing it is because I want to be able to tie actions together. And unfortunately, you cannot tie an alert in to an action group at this time. That might be something that changes in the future. Normally, I do not use the email action under normal circumstances because it's so much more limited than the alerts. But in this particular case, because of the larger task I'm trying to do, I have to do it this way. And the conditions are due date is less than today. Okay. And status does not equal complete. And now we can go ahead and add that. Okay, so I've got change status to escalated and send out notification of escalation. So let me now make one more action, and this will be my action group. Action group. Escalate items. Somebody's going to talk about my spelling again here. Escalate. And we will run on, oops, edit. I'm going to execute this one through a context menu or ribbon. I'm going to put an icon on the menu to run this. And I'm going to use this little icon right here. What's per item? Action settings. We're going to add that one. And we're going to add that one. These are the two actions that are included in our group. And conditions, we'll go ahead and put in status doesn't equal complete, just in case. Got to have something in there. I could have put in ID equals ID, but I think this will slim it down a little bit. And we can add that. And now we can close that. And let's go back to our site. That's not where I wanted to be. Oops. Okay. Got too many pages open here. Assignments. This will get me back to the, no, it won't. I need to go back to the list itself. And we've got all those things in progress, late, not complete. Okay, so now let's go take a look. Items. We'll select all the items. We'll run actions. This will tell me which ones I am. Escalate items. This might take a moment. Okay, I'm starting to get emails. It is processing. Yep. All those late things. I really should be ashamed of myself. I got so many late things. Here's more. It's taken a little bit longer than I thought to complete, but I know that it's processing, as I said, because I am receiving escalation emails, assignment emails. It's running a whole bunch of things at once, I think. I can't see anything there yet. I think we're just going to have to wait for this for a moment. I'm sorry it's taken so long. When I experimented before, it did not take quite this long. Still, it's nice that it's doing its thing. I mean, I can show you if we go back to, you can see all the emails that I'm starting to get. Here's my assigned. Okay, well, while this is thinking, does anybody have any questions for me? I'm watching the question board here. Yeah, I'm surprised that this is taking as long as it is. Ah, there we go. Change, change, change. Success, success, success. So now, when we go and look at our thing, look at that. Escalated, escalated, escalated. So it took a little bit longer than I thought, but it did everything that I wanted it to do, uh, which is pretty good. I suppose it would be unkind to ask about performance. No, it wouldn't be unkind. Usually, uh, things perform pretty rapidly. But I'm using Office 365 and SharePoint Online, and there are sometimes slowdowns. that's that's one of the realities. Like I said, the first time I ran this when I was experimenting with it, it went pretty quick. This time it took a bit longer, but you know, what was it? Maybe 3 minutes to process. That's not that bad. I have seen very, very large lists process almost instantaneously, and I've seen very, very large lists process a bit more slowly. Um, there's there's a lot of variables involved. Um, I will say I started getting uh, the emails from this process right away, so that part was working almost instantaneously. Um, that may not be a complete or technical answer, but I'm actually a relatively non-technical technical person, so I'll give you an answer based on general usability. It's generally pretty usable. It generally happens on a pretty fast basis. Any other questions? No? Okay. Well, I'll tell you, it's been almost an hour and a half, and I have really accomplished the things that I wanted to accomplish today. I've shown you the stuff that I wanted to show you, with the one exception of the indicators not showing red. And I'm going to have to go back and figure out what I did wrong on that. I see some of you had some suggestions, but I can't. The interface I'm looking at, the I can read one line at a time, so it's kind of hard for me to follow this. Um, if there are no more questions for me right now, then it's going to be time for the contest. And what we're going to do is I would like you to type in the chat message. When I say go, I'd like you to type in a number between 1 and 50. And the first person who hits the number is the winner. And then I'll need to get your size and your mailing information and all that. If nobody hits it exactly, the person who comes closest is going to be the winner. So with that being said, get ready for the chat. Ready, set, go. And I'm waiting to see the chats come in. Not seeing anybody yet. Oh, you're putting in the question. Okay, nobody's got it yet. You don't see a chat option. Okay, then go ahead and put it in the question. Nobody's got it yet. Okay, so the instructions are give me a number between 1 and 50. Nobody's got it yet. Okay, you only get to put in one. When everybody's done putting in their numbers, I will go back and look. And by the way, once again, I do have to apologize, but this is only for people in the United States because we can't ship internationally. Okay, has everybody put in their numbers? Going through real fast, nobody hit it exactly. Who's the closest? Okay, the closest is, so the magic number was 32, and the closest is Gene Cock. Gene, you are the winner. Um, would you do me a favor, please, and tell me what size? And um, I need to know if it's Jean or Jean, uh, because that is a gender neutral name. So I need to know if it's a men's or a ladies and what size, and I need your mailing address, please. Now you can send that to me directly at Phil G at infowisesolutions.com, or you can send it to me in a private chat, but I don't think you saw the chat. So Gene is the winner. Congratulations, Gene. Now, as I said at the beginning, I have been recording this, and I will be posting the recording to YouTube probably later today. I want to thank you all for attending. I hope you got some interesting information and some stuff that will give you some ideas on things that you can do for your users and your sites. If you have not already done so, I must encourage you to go to Infowise Solutions, download the trial. I think you can see where we are right now. Products. They've been playing with the website. They made it a little funny. Okay, Ultimate Forms. You might be asking yourself, why do they call it Ultimate Forms when it does so much more? It's because when Infowise started, they had a lot of separate products. They had forms, they had actions, they had alerts. And a few years ago, they rolled everything up together into one umbrella product, but they kept the Ultimate Forms name. So it's a little confusing sometimes, but that's okay. Ultimate Forms download free trial. You can go right in here. If you are on Office 365, you can just go ahead and download that and install it. If you're an on-premise user, it's a little bit more complicated, so there's a little bit more stuff you'll have to do. I will tell you, I have exclusively been using SharePoint Online for the last 4 or 5 years, and I love it. And I'll never go back to on-prem again if I have anything to say about it. And Infowise works perfectly in SharePoint Online. There's some very, very, very minor differences in the interface between the on-prem and the online version, but you know it's minimal. Also on the Infowise site, there's a lot of links to tutorials, There's videos, there's past webinars, there's past Build It sessions. There's a huge amount of information available to you there. If you are an Infowise customer, email support is always free. Send your questions to the support email on the site, and someone will get back to you. We also have advanced training available for customers if you want to pay for a full day fundamentals foundation session or advanced training. We have that. We can also provide site services, site building services. That's one of the things that's available to you. If you're interested, send us a note and we'll be talking to you about that. But all that being said, once again, I want to thank you all for attending, and I'm going to go ahead and sign off. So have a good day. For those of you who are on the East Coast, you're already half done. People like me on the West Coast, well, our day has just begun. So all the best to you, and thank you very much for being here. Bye-bye.